Hi everyone, I am Germaine G. Zacharis from BSF 1B. My assigned topic is all about the continuation of technological changes within and outside the forest sector. New wood processing technologies are likely to impact the way wood is produced. Precision forestry, based on a better understanding of ecological processes, would help fine-tune interventions. Skill-intensive, multiple-use management would find wider application. Also, a reduction in the scale of processing will favor small-scale wood production. Developments in remote sensing and information and communication technologies would enable real-time monitoring of resources, and users can access much of this information, monitoring compliance to international agreements as well as local arrangements. For example, to manage watersheds and biological diversity would have become easier. So, the era of renewable energy changes in the energy sector will have a profound impact on forestry in the 50 years. Investments in renewable sources are expected to significantly increase the share of wind, solar, and hydrogen energy. Replacing fossil fuels with such sources could drastically change the way production, consumption, and even society are organized. Large-scale centralized systems of energy production and distribution characteristics of fossil fuel economies are likely to become obsolete. In view of the close linkages between economic development and energy use, and the extensive use of forests as a source of energy, any change in the overall energy supply and demand will have a significant impact in many countries where biomass is the most important source of energy, especially for cooking, space heating, and rural industries. The future of biomass energy, and consequently that of forests, will hinge on the availability and accessibility of new technology and the extent to which it will replace fossil fuels, wood, and other biomass. It will also depend on developments in biomass energy technologies, especially those that improve energy efficiency. However, persistence of the business as usual scenario would imply that biomass will continue to be the most important source of energy for a large proportion of people in developing countries, especially if cheaper and more efficient energy sources are not available and accessible. While the technology for solar and wind energy exists, its wider adoption will largely depend on accessibility and affordability. Countries in the midst of industrialization will remain dependent on fossil fuels, although the use of renewables will increase somewhat. Post-industrial societies are expected to significantly increase the share of renewables, including wood fuel. Improvements in energy conservation technologies, especially in the context of carbon stabilization strategies, will lead to increased use of wood fuel. Political and institutional scenarios. The impact of the above-noted developments depends on political and institutional changes at different levels, and the extent to which such changes empower individuals and societies. Globalization is altering the opportunities and constraints in unprecedented ways as political, economic, societal, and cultural borders are becoming less relevant. The two broad and opposing trends in the political and institutional developments discernible now are persistence of inequitable political and institutional systems. If alternative approaches to historical trends of exploitation are not adopted, inequality and poverty will increase. In the absence of a level playing field, globalization often weakens democratic decision making, undermines the emergence of more socially and ecologically viable alternative, and marginalize a sizable segment of the population. The principle of sustainability and equity could also be comprised if the exploitation of people and resources is perpetuated by the global reach of technology and economic military power. Emergence of an egalitarian society. On the other hand, the democratization, decentralization, and the wider adoption of participatory approaches are altering political and institutional frameworks. Increasingly, civil society is playing a corrective role at local, national, and global levels, addressing the deficiencies of existing inequitable political and institutional arrangements. Advocating rights of indigenous people and minority groups, according greater importance to the role of women, and pursuing an environment and people-friendly development agenda are gaining wider acceptance. A global network of civil society organizations is influencing decisions on a wide range of issues, including the protection of rainforests, the use of genetically modified organisms, the protection of human rights, and transparency and accountability in public and private enterprises. So the actual development in most countries would be somewhere between the two situations outlined above. If a business as usual situation possesses most benefits associated with economic and technological progress will be limited to a few countries, and in many a sizable segment of society will remain unempowered. Most agrarian societies are likely to face severe complex over resources. So on the other hand, opportunities to bring about positive change through political and institutional arrangements are tremendous if full advantage is taken of economic and technological progress. However, while economic and technological progress may be rapid, political and institutional changes are slow, causing increased conflicts between people and nature.